higher expense of operating another building that we will not have this year. And so to the extent that it's a similar population, well, I assume it's going to be a larger population than is in Mandela now, you're looking at millions of dollars of additional costs in the 18-19 year if we do nothing more than open the building. So we are already mindful of that. We have talked about that in the budget committee as well, and that will require an earlier start because that's a big ticket for next year.
That's the other reason I may add, just for the community to know, why we can't just keep giving away this town in terms of building new developments and not collecting any tax dollars for it. So as we continue to build developments and don't see any tax dollars going to the schools for 30 to 40 years, and yet we have to operate new buildings, trying to put in new educational programs for kids to go out there and really do their best. We need the tax dollars or it's going to be too burdensome for those property owners in the district, and they will up and leave. We'll have ourselves a very big mess.
Can you just actually educate maybe this community and folks here today about the tax abatement that we're...
Okay, so basically, just for a little clarification, some of you may know that the school district has a outstanding litigation against the city of Mount Vernon regarding pilots, which is a payment in lieu of taxes. So basically the way it works is a lot of developers, when they come to Mount Vernon, they say, well, the only way that we could be successful here in Mount Vernon is for the city to give us a tax incentive that sometimes is as great as not paying any taxes for the next 30 to 40 years so that they could build here. So the developers get rich, and the community is left with not enough tax dollars for services, city services, and certainly not school kids either. I'll give you an example. There's a building here in Mount Vernon that was built about 5 years ago. It's about 110 units, and they only pay $30,000 in taxes in total per year, and they have about 62 children going to the school district. So at the taxpayer dollar of roughly $18,000 per student to attend Mount Vernon schools, you can imagine times 62, it's a lot of money, whereby at $30,000 that they're paying, we only collect 2/3 of the $30,000, right, as in taxes. So it barely educates a child and a half, and meanwhile there's 62 in the building. So you can imagine if we now if we continue to build like this in Mount Vernon, and right now plans show that there's, I don't know, maybe tens of these buildings going up, and I'm talking about close to 9,000 units are planned within the next 10 years here, which is considerable. And if all those receive tax abatements that are near or like that for the next 30 to 40 years, it will bankrupt the town, or it'll send class sizes up to about 35, 40 child per class, which is unteachable. The conditions will be worse than we've ever seen before. So just want to make sure that the public is aware of this. Be vigilant. Speak to your council people. Speak to your land use people. Speak to your mayor, and let them know that you are going to monitor the situation to make sure that you protect your school district. So I think if you want to ask any questions about this during if you're signed up to speak, you can certainly add that in.
I just have some more questions about the presentation, and I apologize if it was. I'm a little unclear. Is these 3 tracks, this is a permanent thing, or is this for the existing cohort that's there today?
This is a permanent alternative to Mandela. So as students become eligible for, any student who would generally become eligible for placement or transfer to Mandela would choose one of these 3 tracks based on their eligibility and their interests.
And that is or is not a geographic decision?
No, it's not.
It's
It's
not
not geographic.
It's based on where someone lives?
No,
No,
It's not. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
And it was several board members discussed it earlier, but I guess my question is, right, how are BOCES offerings going to sync with our own career technology offerings that we already have and will have in the future? And I'm just going to say, I think the answer is that over time, right, as the years accrue and we can find resources to expand our own programs, that in time, the more we can do in-house and the more offerings we can do, whether it's on-site at the high school or whether it's somewhere else in the district, the more career training we can do within district on our own dime, which is much more if cost-effective, we'll do that. But the intent is that, in all likelihood, we will always be using BOCES for something, because no matter how great our district becomes, we'll never have every single option you could possibly have, and BOCES has access to a lot of career programs that districts just cannot do themselves.
That is correct. And I have to say, our goal really should be to make certain that kids are not in 9th and 10th grade and undercredited
Yeah.
and not going to meet their targets for graduation. That really is our goal.
Right.
And to the extent that there are children that population still exists, our goal is to get our career and technology program certificated so that youngsters have that pathway in our district as well.
Okay, and I think my last question is, and maybe this hasn't been given thought yet, but is there any change to, any intent or plan to change the name of the building, or will the name follow this new career path, or have we not?
We have made a
About that.
commitment to let Mandela take their name with them wherever they land.
Okay.
Oh, that was awesome. So, do you want to finish the presentations, or do you want to go into questions regarding Mandela?
You know what? I think it would probably be efficient to go into the questions, and then we can we'll resume the superintendent's report and go into the budget.
Okay, that's fantastic.
That's all right with the board.
Right. So right now, we are going to take the questions regarding the Mandela Zollicoffer School. Anyone here who registered to speak, who has some concerns or questions, they may do so at this time. The clerk is going to be announcing the names.
Good evening. Brenda Gifts? Gifts?
Welcome.
I am a concerned parent that I have a child at Mandela. I have spoken with Mr. Burtz. God has definitely answered my prayers. So my heart is filled with joy. So I don't have anything to say. I just want to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
George Joseph?
Good evening.
It's on? Okay. Well, at first, when I came with that last meeting, I had a lot of concerns, okay, because our kids is our future in this town.
Sure.
And I went to in-depth, well, I don't want to go into in-depth right now, but the school is saved, okay? But to the extent of, like you said, for the following years. So we want to see the kids that's in Mandela right now to graduate and move on. But to keep the kids from going to Mandela, to do those alternative classes that you're going to do for them, which is you're going to make it looking like we're helping you out, which is the part that I've seen. It's like, okay, yeah, we give you a handout, okay, because you didn't do good in education, okay? Kids like my son, he got lost in the transition of going from junior high school to high school. So this is where you board members should put an idea in, because a kid would get lost and the teachers don't grasp it fast enough. So they fall back, and when they fall back, they land up in Mandela, which helped my son. He graduated, okay, because he had to go, same thing, he went to the BOCES. But he went to the BOCES when he went to the high school, and the high school couldn't deal with him, so they sent him to BOCES. He had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to, not Valhalla, but Yorktown Heights. So it's even further. So he graduated and got the 2-year certificate, which is very good, okay? And he got it in HVAC, and he's going to start working in there.
Nice.
Okay? Which is a good, positive thing for the kids.
Awesome.
But we want the academic part, where they earned the time in school, which Mandela is giving them, okay? But we don't want to look at it where it's a negative for them. That's the part where the town is saying it's an alternative school. That name has to go, okay? That has to go away, because it's changing the kids, okay? It's labeling you were the bad one. Now we helped you out, okay? So these are the kids that we have to look at for.
Sure.
You raise a, Yeah, I'm sorry, please finish.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
You raise a very good point. I do think we have some rebranding to do for Mandela, and this is our opportunity to do that. And since we have so many parents here from Mandela, I really encourage you to, before your youngsters begin to have their conversation with the guidance counselors, to really sit and counsel them so that they are empowered and they come in with information. You know your kids better than we do. If they have a particular aptitude or interest, help direct them into a pathway or into a trade or to a college choice that is really going to be a complement to what they bring to the table. This is really a unique opportunity that doesn't happen in every school.
No.
So
No.
I agree that this alternative that we've created, first of all, is not a true alternative, because an alternative program, children generally work their way back into the general population, the general schools. And that's our goal. And there will always be some youngsters that will need that kind of ramp up, but we want to reduce that population. So your point is well taken. But I do encourage our parents here this evening to really have very serious conversations with kids about this opportunity, because it is rare. And the board has, although I haven't asked for a vote on this, I will at the next meeting, but I wanted them to have an opportunity to digest this and really understand why this is such an ideal alternative. And we need parental support so that this program, these options are successful. So kids who aren't coming, they need to be engaged to start coming. Kids who may not know what they want to do upon graduation, this is the opportunity to start having those conversations. Kids who have responsibilities, we know some of our youngsters are young parents already, and this is their opportunity to really change their trajectory for their future. And we need parents to help us help them.
And the key thing